everyone. Welcome to the 10th episode of Tower Tales, the ATC Podcast. This is your host Mahesh joining you again from Hyderabad to bring you the untold stories of veteran air traffic controllers from the Indian Air Force. In each episode, I delve into their experiences, sharing their real stories, challenges, and the critical roles they played towards ensuring safety and security of our skies. Get ready to explore the fascinating world of ATC with these veterans who were highly radioactive once upon a time. Our guest today was commissioned in December 1984 and graduated as an air traffic controller in July 85. After becoming a CATI controller, he was posted as an instructor at the prestigious Air Traffic Control Officers Training Establishment. Later, he became Senior Air Traffic Control Officer at IF bases at Bhuj and Tambaram near Chennai, before commanding independent radar units at Patnitop, Gorakhpur, and Air Force Academy, Hyderabad. He has served at Air Force Stations Halwara, Jaisalmer, Hindon, Jodhpur, Tezpur, and Tambaram, besides holding staff appointment at Southwestern Air Command of the Indian Air Force. He was trained in France for Master T radar and was also involved in supervising the modernization of IAF airports with modern navigational aids. He retired from the IAF in October 2018. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to welcome veteran Group Captain Anuroop Kumar to this episode of Tower Tales. Good morning, Group Captain Kumar. Such a pleasure to have you on this show. I was waiting for this opportunity and thanks for making time, sir. How are you doing?
Good morning, Mahesh. Thank you so much for calling.
Sir, I remember you because you're one of the professionals I had a lot of respect for. And it is good to be having you on this show. So let us proceed forward. I know you have had a very illustrious career, having commanded 3 units or so, including some of the most important radar units, and been SATCO at many bases. So I am sure this podcast is going to be very, very rewarding for the viewers. Let us move forward. Walk me through your journey from when you joined the Indian Air Force, and you became a Cat A, the highest proficiency in the Air Force, and later you also became an instructor. What motivated you to choose this career? How did you land up with the Air Force, and then the desire to become the best professional in terms of proficiency? Can you tell us a little more about it?
Yes, Mahesh, you are already aware of this. It was rather the moment you complete your administrative training, we are just given the branch ATC or an FC. And I don't think there was a choice at that time, maybe even during your time as well. Even prior to joining, or even after completing that 1 year of training, we never expected till the time they gave us this information that all of you will be diverted to either air traffic control or a fighter controller training. And it was a pleasant surprise. I call it pleasant because I never expected it. Once the BATCO course started, we were the backbenchers. We used to sit at the back to avoid the course. Then instructor told one day, fellas, if you fail, you think you'll go home, sorry. We'll make you sit here in that court till the time you pass out. And finally, from the last bench, moved up a couple of benches ahead. Then I started some serious, thinking about it and try to get over with the course. But thanks to the gurus there at that court during that time, we were really motivated, like Mukundan sir, Bharadwaj sir, and of course our CI Lions at that time. They all motivated us in some form or the other. And then, and we got into. But somehow, when one of the instructors taking our practical classes, then we realized it looks really interesting. We did very well. Of course, it was the manual way of moving the aeroplanes there. And then we had the Chota mic with us. We were transmitting. It became a little more interesting. So that is how we got into the profession finally and passed out.
Great, sir. As you're speaking, I was wondering that a lot of times people feel that those who are motivated they do things. But here is a case where I hear you saying that you started doing things in ATC as you got along in the course and moved from so-called backbench to the front bench, and later on did so well in the ATC. Um, In fact, it flips the thought process. When you start doing things, sometimes you get motivated to do even better. And
Yes.
here is an example what you're citing. So unless you have that experience and you start doing things, you would not get motivated. And that is the hidden talent in you that subsequently came out. I know you must have faced a lot of challenging moments, and I'm sure when you um, passed out from the ATC course. I think it was in July '85, if I'm not wrong.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, and then can you take us through some of your couple of your early postings and how they shaped you? Some interesting episode as you learned the ropes of ATC.
Yes, it was the summer of 85. The first posting being Halwara in Punjab. Landed up there. It was so new, and
Hmm.
again, we were rather apprehensive. And then luckily, we had a great Satko that time, the PK Basuda. My salutations to him.
Hmm.
I hope if he sees this anytime, my pranamams to my first Satko. I would love to, cherish the memories of being together with him for about a couple of years there. And then he's the one, who put me to rather, peace and at ease with him. And we are all the good seniors that time. I like to name some of them: Sekha, Saxena, sir, Mary, sir, even late Krishnamurti was there, Sridhar was there. We were all a great crowd that time. It was like a family we had. And considering a great Satko we had, it was really fun and interesting and motivational to learn a lot of things. Like many CATiers were there that time, and they were all there. Like one day, seeing us, enjoying quite some time, one of the senior controller called us. He said, "What are you people doing? You're already here for a month, and I think you're not doing well. You need to concentrate on the profession, forget about all the social life." That is how he, gave us a talk, and then we became very serious. And that is the time, yeah, I said, yeah, this is really a good motivational thing for us to get back onto the job and be serious on that. But that's how we started off. And then within a month, we had a Dasi inspection. Oh, we did everything on the ground, all right. But during the inspection, I was standing aside. This is the first time for me. I'm still not even fully ops. The inspector that time called me, okay, come, sit down. I sat down. There's an aeroplane with a unserviceable compass, unserviceable radio. We started doing this, making the sound. He said, go ahead. I said, yes. Whatever the knowledge we picked up till that time, I started doing the controlling. And then we had the DRDF, and that was the first time for me to use it. Earlier,
Hmm.
we had that AD
Yeah, that,
310C in the
yeah,
airport,
yeah.
okay, manual movement and things like that. This was actually the first, control descent for me, wherein I was trying to put the things together, piece it together to see I can make a good approach or not. And then I started doing the approach very absolutely good, going out, going, coming in. When it was inbound, the aeroplane, then he asked me, where is the aeroplane? I said, sir, it is inbound after the control descent. Then he asked again, where is the aircraft? I repeated the same thing. He asked the third time, I repeated the same thing. Then he asked my Satko, please come and take over. Then I found out suddenly this aeroplane was going exactly opposite, instead of coming towards the base, it was going 180 degrees away.
Uh-huh.
Then I said, what went wrong?
Hmm.
Then I saw that QDM and the QTE switch, it was changed. I didn't see that, it was changed from the QDM to QTE. Rather
Hmm.
homing, it was actually the bearing what I'm seeing. And I was thinking
Hmm.
it was coming home, but actually it was going away. Probably the
Oh,
examiner has changed it to see my reaction, which I did
yes.
not realize. So he
Hmm.
started going the opposite way, and luckily Satco recovered back. This was the first and great experience to start with.
Yeah, so I think that's very interesting to know because One of the areas where the ATCOs were often tested, because those days the navigational aids, both pilot interpreted and controller interpreted, were limited. I think it was very important to continuously keep checking whether the indications we are getting are right, and to cross check again and again. Like in this episode you mentioned,
Yes, it
that was
was.
brought out. But I'm glad that we had those kind of instructors and seniors who were invested in our mentoring,
Yes.
to ensure that the legacy of professionalism that they built over a period of time is transferred, and the young controllers continue to learn. So that's really nice. But having said this, can you tell us that what was the kind of approach that the seniors used to adopt for training the young ATCOs when they would come and take over the RT for the first time? What was the kind of approach? How did the young controllers get seasoned into fully op status?
The senior controllers played quite a role in this. See, they were always serious on the job. We may be good outside the top, like friendly or social, but when we are on the job, they are very serious. That is how, the initial years, we learned quite a bit and we experienced out of their experience, whatever we got it, it remained forever. That wisdom which they gave us till the last day, it remained with us. See how to be serious on your job. And when we are learning these nuances of this profession, see, when you come onto the ATC initially, you just don't understand what is going on. Slowly you build up this from, saying clear to land to clear to take off to understanding the gamut of controlling took quite a number of years. And
Yeah,
obviously, the guidance, given by the seniors was so great. That is how you get molded onto the fully ops and then the categorization, etc. I still remember my category was not there initially. After 2 years or so, my SATCO didn't give me Cat C also. I said, you got a lot to go. Then suddenly these, Sri Lankan operations came. I said, I want to go. He said, no way. You need to get your category. Sit down here and do your job. So it
yeah.
took about 2.5 years to get my first category C, and then that's how we progressed. And yes, a good foundation initially, rather than getting over quickly. Getting category is not the one. You learn the profession fast, and then the categories automatically come to you. The foundation has to be built strongly. That is how the seniors were. At that
So
time,
that
they taught
actually
me.
brings me to the point. Since you mentioned foundation has to be built strongly, and of course, category would come. Um, do you think that as a controller, the first few years are very important as a message to the young controllers who are joining now? Do you think that the first few years, if we are serious about the profession and we learn the ropes quickly, that actually helps us throughout the career? What are your thoughts?
Yes, certainly, absolutely.
Great.
Foundation has to be good. Without that, you just cannot make a progress.
So I also recall you were instructor at, of course, the air traffic controllers training establishment, and later on, what key lessons? Of course, you would have the theoretical part of it, your ICAO documents and all that. But being in the military aviation, what key lessons did you try to instill in your trainees? Could you share any incident that drives home the point, or any impactful episode from your tenure there as an instructor? What were some of the key lessons you tried to instill in the trainees?
See, I was myself new. When I was posted there, I did not have the category A at that time. So I was still learning. Though we had, good experience behind, but a lot of things to be learned before I start teaching the younger ones who are coming into the profession. So I went into the library one day. I found one book. I think it's about origins of ATC. I don't remember the author. I
Okay.
picked up the book, went home, studied it full night. I was awake and went through the book. It was so interesting, and everything opened up in my mind. I said, why didn't I read this, when I joined ATC? When I found this book, it very clearly, tells us how, this profession has evolved, starting with, in some municipal grounds where, the initial air traffic control started way back in 1930s to what we are right now. That opened up my mind. And this is what, when I taught I was the course commander for the PAT course. This is what I explained to them. It's very, easy for them to understand after. I think the latest book is there on 100 years of air traffic control, written by one of the Western authors.
Yeah. So I
And
think,
that's how my
yeah. So you basically were focused on understanding the first the historical perspective, and also the need to be knowing why things have evolved the way they have evolved, so that you get a very very clear insight into the origins and the reasons why we are doing what we are doing. So I think that's a wonderful point
absolutely.
there, sir. I also know that, sir, you were involved in the modernization of the IAF airports. I know earlier we had some legacy aids to help us, like you mentioned, ED210C, then we had DRDF, CADF, and all. But then I remember you were involved in modernization of radars and the navigational systems, and you went to France for the Master T radar, and of course went to US also to study some of their establishments. So, could you elaborate on some of the key advancements you were involved in, such as CAT2, ILS, or some other modern navigation system?
Well, Mahesh, I
Mhm.
was only involved in terms of the equipment being installed, being monitored, and their operationalization.
Mhm.
Only up to that level, the field level I
Okay.
was associated. But the Master T radar at Nathatop, yes, right from the beginning, from the scratch, we were there. Not the contract wise, but once the radar was contracted, and then we were posted there along with other officers. We all went to France for the training just before the radar was shipped to us.
Okay.
And
So,
then,
any interesting episode when you were getting this commissioned? Any challenges that you faced that you can recall?
yes, Mahesh, there are plenty of funny as well as serious incidents which have taken place during the installation of this Master T radar.
Okay.
Starting with, it was imported on a 747 jumbo, the antenna. The entire radar system is in the antenna itself. That is the main part of the, we can say, heart of the radar system, the
Okay.
antenna.
Hmm.
Since the size cannot be fit into a 747 with the packings, they only put some very light packing for the antenna and brought in the airplane as a you can say delicate thing with only some minor packing. So this antenna system, the entire radar system, once in Delhi, it was given to that PD there, and it is to be shipped to us coming all the way on the road to Nathatar. Then we told them very clearly that the trucks we hire should not be that regular roadways trucks. We can bring this since it is a delicate and sensitive equipment. Please put it on relatively new trucks and with ISO corners. Not that some of the portion of the radar is extending beyond the
Yeah.
truck size. Very specifically, we are told them. So it got delayed because of that.
Okay.
But finally, when they sent it, they again back to similar trucks, which had this antenna probably little protruding onto the flap door at the back, though it couldn't be closed. Normally, a truck flap which is there at the back, it could not be closed. So it was extended and tied up. So when we received it at the site, then we had the company reps also along with us, initially inspecting the truck and the antenna. Then we found it is damaged at the
Oh.
back. Then we called the driver and the escort which we have. He says they do not know anything about it. But we found something hit it at the back. Then inquiries, further grilling those people. Probably somebody hit him at the red light in Delhi or somewhere else en route. And the system is obviously damaged. And then the company reps, they're not responsible for this. Once it is supplied to us, then we are responsible.
Yeah, yeah.
And I said, what do we do now? He said, we'll try to put it, mount it, we'll operationalize, and then only they can tell whether the antenna system will work. He's had some, some 16 lines. Each line had some 32 diodes. The entire system of the technology is in the antenna. It's a phased array antenna. And the entire, technology is in the antenna itself. It's so delicate. And they, on one side where it was protruding, got a hit. And we were not sure what is going to happen. Then finally, a couple of days later, it was mounted. And then he said, if it is working, then we'll leave it like that. We'll do some patchwork. If it is not working, then we have to go in for a new antenna.
Oh my God.
I said, fine. It's a great loss to us. Then luckily, touch wood, nothing happened. And the other equipment, by the way, when it was coming up, we had a hilly terrain, it's almost 9,000 feet. And very steep climbs and the steep turns were there en route. And one of the trucks failed at one of the steep climb and turns. It was outside the station. By the time they reached, it was almost 4 o'clock in the evening. Now that fellow walked up and said, "My truck has failed. Please give me some, mechanics to repair it." I said, "What happened?" He says, "Some gearbox, is broken." What do we do? We could do nothing. I said, "Now issue is now that fellow. See, the contract is given to him to deliver to us, but he's in a no man's land. He's outside the unit, not doing J&K, almost nearing, dusk time." So now we can't get a repair guy also. So we tried to get in, internally in-house, some empty fitters and all these things. Then we rang up down below Udhampur to see if any, these kind of repair people are available. And luckily, our own people went there, repaired the truck, and then finally, brought it back the next day.
It's
The whole night, we were up getting this truck back.
great. Such stories we never get to hear, but thanks to you,
Yeah.
we knew what went behind. Because ultimately, people see things when they are operational, but given the kind of terrain and the difficulties you faced.
It was very tough to bring it up. And when we reached the gate, there is an instant, almost 90-degree turn. It's a flat top trailer. We had the, cabin, radar cabin. That cabin actually, came off 45 degrees from the trailer. It was hanging outside. It's so heavy, we can't, put it back. We tried with all the ropes to straighten it. Otherwise, it will fall down. But we couldn't do it. Now the JCB is ahead of it. Now we have to bring it down, means the road has to be clear. The trailer has to move, otherwise, we can't get the JCB from top to, gate where we can set it.
Yeah, yeah.
Now we are stuck like that for almost half a day. And then we have to get JCB from outside, bring it up, and then try to pull it up, back onto the trailer. You could move.
My God.
These are the, way
These
of,
would have been really,
installing
really
such
anxious
kind.
moments.
I really
Very tough.
wondered, how we still had some, equipment and things like that. But I wondered how the first radar at Nathatop was installed. I can imagine how they went
Wait.
through. That was really
In those days, we didn't have so many resources also. So getting
yeah,
resources must have been really difficult.
absolutely. Yeah,
But hats off that the IEF team could pull it off. And otherwise, it would have been a huge loss
yeah, yeah.
and delay.
Yes. And
So
another
that
thing
brings it.
happened during
Yeah.
the installation. We had the radome. The radome
Okay.
has, it's like a football. If you
Hmm.
separate the
Yeah.
pieces,
Yes,
they
sir.
all come in, pieces. They have to be fixed up on a frame, to give you the. They come in a crate and they have to be taken onto the top of the antenna platform, and then that fellow will come and start fixing it up. But when the equipment arrived, the reps they took it onto the radar platform and opened the casings and then left after the work in the evening. I told them, I said, you cannot leave it like this here, considering the weather is very, can't be predicted what happens in the night, even though it
Mm.
looks very clear in the evening, but may not be good in the night or even in the morning. So
Yeah.
don't leave these, pieces like this. Please pack them up and go. He said, no problem. We will fix it up by morning. And we all went home. And then suddenly I was woken up by the orderly. Sir, कुछ गिरा पड़ा है इधर. I said, what? ऐसा पता नहीं रडार का कुछ आइटम जो है इधर आपके रूम के पास से एक पड़ा है. That was just, in front of my room on the mess. I said, what is it? Then I quickly went out to see. It was one of those radome pieces.
God.
Then I said, it can't be only one piece. Everything must have flown up. I told that guy, start going around and check. Then we found obviously there are some 8 to 9 pieces which flew off from the radar platform, and they were strewn all around the unit. There was a huge, gales in the night, and this is what happened. Then again, the rep, we have to call him. He was trying to push the things on us. We told him, sorry, boy, it's your problem. You unpack, you're standing here, you're supposed to fix it up. And we told you how to take precautions. Still, you continue to do it. I said, you have to do it. And he inspected and he found, yes, some of them are badly damaged. He had no choice. Then he spoke to his company and then they told him probably they agreed for the loss. They said, we will replace it. Then the issue is how to now, leave a gap in the radar. They said, we'll fix up with the damaged ones, and once the new ones come, we will change. Then obviously they have a winter coming up, so you can't change it till probably the next summer. But luckily the company agreed. That's how we now operational in a good sense. It was really, the weather is so unpredictable there. You never know what happens there. We had, spent a lot of money on the lightning arresters also there. And these are again, area lightning arresters where it's supposed to distribute the power, all around rather than hitting the target. But the arresters themselves went down like this, like a U-turn, and went into the ground. There's no way we can do anything. Everything was damaged during the flight. But luckily the radar was, protected.
That
These are
actually,
some.
must have been a very, very difficult situation and must have given you many sleepless nights. I can completely understand. And especially when it is an important equipment. It's not an everyday affair that you have multiple
Yeah.
things getting installed. So everybody's eyes would have been on the equipment. And I can completely understand how difficult it must have been for the local leadership at the site to answer those queries and continue to do the work and get it installed. And also, I think one aspect which has come out in this is that it is very important that we give credence and serious thought to the local advice. Like you mentioned, you had warned the vendor about the possibility of weather going bad and the need to stow away those equipment or secure them in the night. But had he paid heed to you, those things getting blown away, the radome parts getting blown away would not have happened. So it's very important for us to consider the advice of the local people whenever we go to a new place, rather than just going by experience and our expertise. So,
Yes, absolutely right, Mahesh.
thank you, sir. I think this is really, really important. Thanks to you that we get to know such stories and very interesting. In fact, the entire episode of installation can itself be like a movie.
Yeah, yeah, it
You know,
was.
it can be condensed in a book. Would be an interesting reading. Let's move on, sir. Let me ask you: ATC work as such demands absolute precision and composure on the part of the controllers. It's very exacting, and especially when it is a radar. Can you describe or can you recall a critical incident? I'm sure every controller has certain incidents that they have faced, which has actually given them tense moments. Can you recall any such critical incident where your decisions and as an air traffic controller and what you did made a significant impact on the flight, the mission, and the safety? Any incident that you recall?
Yes, we had many incidents like that, Mahesh. One is the bad weather, obviously, at many instances. We have a local, phenomena here in Air Force Academy, wherein a low-level, fog envelops in winter months.
Yes.
You don't see it. weatherman cannot forecast that because he doesn't see it till the time it hits you. It comes like a carpet and just covers it up and zero visibility. And we could see it, very uh, subtly somewhere, maybe a couple of kilometers away because we are sitting on a higher position being in the radar. We could tell, yes, something is coming up. Then the forecast came, yes, the fog is coming. We told all the aeroplanes to come back and quickly land. So what else? There was no precision there. We had only the surveillance radar. So we put them everybody on the surveillance approaches. And again, we had the deputy commandant to land. I said, we know the limitations of the equipment. Once you know the limitation of the equipment, yes, we can continue till the limitation. It was just about half a mile we could give it. And then he almost came up to the compound wall. And then he could see one of the runways. We had two runways, and he just made a landing on one of the runways, the second runway. We kept that also clear. And that is the time he said, this unit doesn't require any inspection after that. That is the confidence he had of the radar and the radar system, and the controllers are sitting behind. That is
But I
actually
think you made a very important point is while you know about your what you can do, it is very important to know the limitations of your equipment and take that into consideration. I think that's a very important point. Sir, looking back at your career, is there any moment or any achievement you're particularly proud of in your career in the ATC? One thing which stands out, which you'll say, okay, this was something which was a big contribution.
yes, Mahesh. I have many to name. Starting with I was in Bhuj, I was a SATCO during the 1999. You remember we had the great earthquake, which shattered everything. Even our own ATC building collapsed, and even the houses collapsed. We were on the road. We don't know what is the gamut of destruction which took place. We were just coming out and running around in panic. There was, some sad stories unfolding. So many things happening at the time. Our runway got resurfaced just about, maybe a week before or something like that. Then suddenly someone came to my and asked, the station commander wants to take off. I said, what? I was in a surprise thing. I said, where does he want to take off now? We don't have anything. Then the matter went back. He said, no, he has to take off because there are no communications available in the unit. So he has to go to Nalia and then communicate to the headquarters. I said, okay, no problem. This is only a helicopter. Then we went back to that, ATC. It collapsed. Slowly pulled out these, the loop sets and all that. Took out the batteries from that RT cabin from the collapsed building. Then moved to what we call that underground ATC. Set up that. This was in the, almost, what time was it? Afternoon or something like that. Then we gave takeoff with the loop set and we went to Nadia. And that's how, he communicated to the headquarters that time. And then we did the inspection of the runway and found, touchwood, nothing happened to the runway. The runway was absolutely in shape. And then we didn't know what was coming after that. Then the station commander came back around evening and then told, keep, operations ready. That was really, wondering how to keep the things ready. I said, we don't have anything. We just have only one loop set lying with us. What do we do? Then we have to go and check, whether runway lights are working or not, or any other aids are available. Nothing else available. Everything collapsed. Even NDB, NDB was there. But again, that, wall, everything was collapsed. But okay, we could put the NDB on. And runway lights were working. So we had to keep a guy there to keep the lights on. And we had only loop sets. That's how the operation started. But we continued to stand up to provide what was required and then operationalize the airport without even seeing what the tragedy our own people went through.
Yeah, I think must have been a tough time because I remember that time and there was complete devastation. But to provide the services while, because that was a priority and you had your own people, team members, families who were affected. But keeping that
Yes.
as a secondary thing and making provision of air traffic services as the primary need, would have called for a great deal of dilemmas and difficult times for you and everybody in the ATC. So, these are the stories which often do not come out, but I'm sure that there are so many hidden heroes who would have done their bit during that period. Great to know that. In fact, I think for these kind of episodes, I mean, like you narrated the incident at Bhuj, they themselves are such that we can have a separate episode which can
Yeah,
talk
yeah,
about the kind of
yes,
work that was done during that time. I'm sure it would have taken a lot of time to get back to the normal state, but
yes.
the continuity was maintained, and that is something very, very great. Let me ask you a question. If you could go back and relive one day as a controller, which base would you like to go?
Yeah, it's, I mean, great times we had was in Jaisalmer.
And why
I
do you
don't
say that?
consider flying part of it. It was a great time we had, all the sand dunes, everything. And you'll be
Yes,
surprised that, in the evening we pick up our drinks, we pick up our food, all were bachelors that time, hardly any families. And we just drive away on our two-wheelers we had that time and just carry on and reach, some, right? Sand dunes, which
yes,
is
sir.
about 45 kilometers away. We drive there, then we spread our bedsheet, we sit on that, we have our dinner, and then drive back early morning straight to ATC. This used to be the fun we had.
Uh, no, I think that was also required because ATC being one of the stressful jobs, and you are at a
Yeah,
place which is not a big town, you need your moments of de-stressing.
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
I think
That's how
hanging out with
we and that is how all the bachelors we're always together for dinner. At least for dinner we're all together back and
could you recall some of the
go
names,
for
sir?
in the ATC.
Yes, sir. Jaisalmer?
Jaisalmer, yes, our J.K. Joshi, Girish
Okay,
Menon. We
okay,
had Self, even Shashida. Yeah, Mondal sir was there, the CEO that time, and
okay.
Halan sir, Mon Chandan sir, they were all in the radar. There were four controllers, senior
I'm
controllers.
sure when they listen to this, they would,
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
recall
we're all
those
together most of the time, and we call on, in the night, any one of them. Those are the ones with families, and in the ATC we were all bachelors, so we had a
So,
great
any
time there
quick
also.
message? We are running out of time actually. Any message that you would like to give to the young ATCs in terms of what are some of the key qualities they should imbibe right in the beginning? Very quick one.
Yes, Mahesh, but it can't be quick in ATC. There are so many things which I want to tell. It's not
Yeah.
just one. You see, we had one radar, got destroyed in fire in Hindon, I think, sometime back. Then I was told, I was in the 902 that time. The SASO told me, please do the audit here in the training command. I said, for what? I said, because a fire took place there in London and destroyed the radar. It should not happen here. And please check this. So we went all around every unit to see. And I found, yes, there are, likelihood of a fire taking place in any of this. And we are not in a position to do anything. Why? Because the radar antenna is, the antenna building is almost 5 stories high. It's almost 25 meters high. How will a fire tender reach there? That to a domestic fire tender.
Mm.
They cannot reach to the top to put off any fire. So what do we do? Yeah, there are systems available where you can internally put them, and then which automatically puts off. The new systems are there. But till such time, what do we do? It takes time for us to get these new systems into the place. I said, yes, very simple. What you can do is we have a hose, fire hose, which is 30 meters long. It's about 100 feet. An antenna building is only 25 meters, not going up to the antenna, but up to the top where the cabin is there, equipment cabin. I said 25 meters, you still have another 5 meters available to pull it into the equipment area, right? And then from there, leave this hose down below. It reaches the ground.
Hmm.
A DFT can easily come there, just connect it. And then you can pump in. When you want to pump in foam, you can want to pump in water to suppress the initial fire if there is any. We did that. And everywhere we put one hose. That's all we have to do. And we
Yeah,
can prevent the fires there. We need to get to the bottom of the issues, wherever you are.
I think that's a
Then,
great message.
automatically, you see the things opening up and you can make improvements.
The message I hear from you is that we should question the status quo. Sometimes we should also review the things which have been continuing for a long time. And it is
Yes.
important to know the systems well. One
Yeah,
should get to the
absolutely.
root of it. And especially even before you do some problem solving, you need to understand the what is the problem,
System.
define the problem.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That is
Thank
what
you
it
so much,
is.
sir, for those insights. I think we had a wonderful discussion. So before we end this podcast, I would like to know how has your life been post retirement, and do you miss that adrenaline rush of the ATC?
Yes, absolutely. Right from the morning I get up, I miss it. What we went through, it was really a wonderful time. And I wish I had more years into the profession, which I missed.
I'm glad, sir, I had this opportunity to have this podcast with you. We've come to know something which I don't think many of us would have otherwise known. So thank you for making time and being with us. Have a nice
Thank you,
day, sir.
Mahesh. It's been a wonderful, to be with you and to share some of the experiences. It's been a
My
great
pleasure,
thing.
sir.
I had a great innings. And
Bye bye,
thank you
sir.
so much, Mahesh. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning into Tower Tales, the ATC podcast. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and had a first hand peek into the incredible work and life of yet another veteran controller. If you liked what you heard, please subscribe to my channel on YouTube, leave a review, and share this podcast with your friends and colleagues. This podcast is also available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Your feedback will help me bring you more of the content you enjoy. Join me after a fortnight for yet another engaging discussion with a veteran air traffic controller. Until then, this is Mahesh Sharma, your host, signing off for now. Safe travels and happy landings.
Flight 01